Well, new at noon, Governor-elect Landry announcing what he called a partnership with Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams' office that Landry said would assist in restoring the rule of law to the city of New Orleans. Landry says starting next year, prosecutors from the State Attorney General's office will take over the prosecutions of New Orleans criminal cases brought by the state police and other state agencies.
What we're announcing today is an agreement with the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office and the Louisiana Department of Justice that will allow the Attorney General to assist in the prosecution of criminal cases in the city of New Orleans.
He knows that the economic health, the public safety of New Orleans is crucial to the entire state.
Landry also unveiled his choice to head the Louisiana State Police during that news conference that took place at Caesars Superdome downtown. Major Robert Hodges, a New Orleans native who has been with the agency for 28 years, will take over as superintendent in January. He will replace a retiring Colonel Lamar Davis. Hodges currently oversees state police operations in Region 2. That includes 18 southern parishes from Lake Charles to Houma.